Welcome to another History Chat with Cynthia. Today we're going to be talking about extraordinary marriages because the month of June is when we think about marriages. And so we're going to be remembering Bess Truman and her husband, Harry Truman. Bess Truman enjoyed being the wife of a senator. She could be involved in the political process, and yet there was not a lot of scrutiny on her. But in 1944, FDR was looking for another person to fill the spot of vice president. And Harry Truman was very popular in the party at the time because he was a moderate and he had been finding all kinds of fraud and abuse and cleaning up like Elon Musk is doing today. And so his name came up and she was going, no, don't do it. But he finally accepted and he was elected as vice president to FDR. Things went along until finally in April of 1945, just after the inauguration, FDR passed away suddenly, and that thrust Harry Truman into being president, and World War II was not over. It was a very difficult time. Bess Truman was suddenly first lady, and she almost panicked because she did not want the press scrutiny. She had some stuff in her past with her father's suicide that she did not want to come out, and she was not interested in being out there. They asked her, when are you going to do your first press conference? When can we interview you? She didn't want any of that. So finally, DAR asked her to come to Constitution Hall and do an event in her honor, and she agreed. And then a senator came to her and said, oh, Eleanor Roosevelt wouldn't do that. And so she was very tired of being compared to Eleanor Roosevelt. And so she decided, I said I was going to go, and I'm going to go, because she was a very stubborn person. And she went. But after the event, she was so furious that her husband had put her in the situation that she flew home to Independence, Missouri, and settled in for Christmas. Her husband was very busy because the war had just ended, and he finally made it home on Christmas Day. And she said something like, well, I'm glad you finally made it home. You might as well just turn around and go right back, because she was really peeved with him. He stayed a couple days and then went back to Washington. And when he got back, he was really mad. And he wrote a letter that he sent by special post. And it was a furious letter because he was angry with her for what she had said to him. But he thought better of it. And he called his daughter Margaret, who was also in Missouri, and said, go to the post office and get that letter and burn it, because I wrote it in anger and I should not have done that. He wrote her another letter and he said, when you said those things to me when I got home on Christmas, it really hurt. And I've got this job and I've got to do a good job with it. And if I do it right, it's going to be because you are helping me. He mailed that letter. And he got a much different response. At that point, Bess was much more willing to come back to Washington and be his partner. Just like God intended. God intended for us to be partners together. Listen to this verse from Genesis. Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, and over everything that moves on the earth. And that's what Beth and Harry Truman did. But I would very much love to know what you think.